Okay, welcome everyone. We're gonna get started, and we always start with a land acknowledgement because we're in Washington, D.C., which was, is occupied land. So we acknowledge that Washington, D.C. sits on the ancestral lands of the Anacostans, also documented as Nacotchtank, who are now part of the Piscataway Indian Nation. We honor the ancestors. And this land acknowledgement was prepared with the help of Dr. Gabriel Tajak, Piscataway Nation. So I'm Dr. Ada Vilageliu-Diaz, and I'm an assistant professor of English at the University of the District of Columbia. And welcome to Latinas Empowering Latinas, an event designed to uplift high school Latinas in the DMV. So this event will motivate high schoolers to pursue higher education. So this is a program from the Latinx Student Association. So this is the launch event. And so the Latinx Student Association has invited high school students from the DMV area to this event. And then at the end, there will be breakout sessions where they can join the breakout sessions and meet UDC students who are going to give them advice. And today's keynote address is by Maria Santos, who's the executive officer for NASA's Office of the Chief Scientist. And after the keynote, the high school students will join the breakout rooms, and they're going to see them label according to the specific majors. And if they don't know the majors, that's okay. They can try it out. And your host today is Diana Atenco Gonzalez. She's a psychology student at UDC. She's part of the women's lacrosse team. She's the president of the Latinx Student Association, president of Psych High, the International Honor Society of Psychology, and the vice president of the Student Athlete Advisor Committee. She has hosted the following events: Afro-Latinx Spotlight with former Shadow Congressman from DC, Franklin Garcia, Emmanuel Mendez from the Afro-Latinx Caucus. She has also hosted Café con Latinx and DC Latina Poets, and she's a creator of Latinas Empowering Latinas to help motivate high school Latinas to pursue a college degree. So, Diana, you want to say hi? And do you want me to read Maria Santos' bio?
Yes. So I just wanted to say thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to my teammates who are also on the lacrosse team who will be hosting the breakout rooms.
Okay, so I will read Maria Santos. So we are really honored to be joined today by Maria Santos, who, as I said earlier, she's executive officer for NASA's Office of the Chief Scientist. In this capacity, she serves as the key advisor for the chief scientist and deputy chief scientist, and is responsible for providing leadership for a broad spectrum of programs and projects, budget and strategic communications. She previously served as a CFO, University Program Manager, and lead workforce planning specialist for NASA's Office of the Chief Financial Officer, or CFO. She was the chair of the Hispanic Outreach and Leadership Alliance, HOLA, H-O-L-A, an employee resource group at NASA headquarters from 2015 to 2018, and now serves as advisor to the HOLA Leadership Board. And I have the full bio in the chat because we want to hear from her directly. And I'm going to start sharing my screen so that we can see her PowerPoint. So give me 1 second to find the PowerPoint. Okay, I have it right here. Okay, so
thank you so much. How's my audio? We're good? Okay, great. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Ada and Diana for inviting me to speak with you all today. I'm both humbled and honored to say a few words. They asked me to share a little bit about my background and the work that I currently do. So hopefully you enjoy my journey here. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course, we'll leave time at the end if you guys have any questions. Next slide, please. So some of the things that these are some of the things that I will be covering today. I'm going to share a little bit about my background, my education, my career trajectory, how I came to NASA, and then just do some closing remarks, and then we can open it up to Q&A. Next slide, please. So I was born in El Salvador, and I am the youngest of 8 kids, and I must feel very comfortable with you guys because I've never shown these pictures to anyone ever, except my family. So I'm being open and vulnerable. So there's a picture of us from El Salvador. My family and I immigrated to the U.S. when I was about 6 years old because of the civil wars in El Salvador. It just got to be too dangerous for us. So we left and immigrated and got settled in this little town called Paris, Florida, which is south of Tampa, Florida. And back in the day, my family was the only Salvadoran family in the area. The area was mostly Mexicans, African Americans, and white Caucasians. So we were a little bit, you know, like fish out of water. Not only did we have to learn, you know, come to a new country, learn the English language, but also new cultures. You know, we had to eat new food, learn about new music, new cultures, and so it was, I guess it was a little difficult at first. But, you know, I grew up in a very loving home. My family is very close. Like I said, I'm the youngest of 8, so there's a lot of us. So we have lots of nieces and nephews, aunts and uncles. So luckily, I come from a very strong, supportive family. Growing up, I didn't really know anyone who really went to college or had professional careers, except individuals that worked in the school system, of course. And so going to college for me was not really a priority. I was more interested in just, you know, graduating from graduating from high school and just going out into the workforce to help my family with, you know, the finances. And it wasn't until I was in the honors program, and it wasn't until I met this lady from the school board who got me into the upper bound program that I actually started even thinking about college. I was in the upper bound program, which meant that I had to take classes at the University of South Florida. And honestly, I only joined because they told me that they would provide me with a stipend. I never really thought that I could go to college. So let's go ahead and thank you. One slide back. Uh-oh. There we go. So I ended up going to the upper bound program, which meant I had to take classes during the weekends and also stay at USF during the summers from my 9th grade year through senior year of high school. And the last session that I stayed in the summer before my senior year, one of our assignments was to complete about 3 to 5 college applications because that was part of the program. And I didn't do it because I didn't think that I wanted to go to college. And I remember the look of just sadness and anger and disappointment in one of the counselor's faces when I did not turn in the applications. And that really struck me. So I went back to my dorm and I completed those applications. I came back the next day and I handed those applications to her. And I just didn't think much after that. And a few weeks later, I started getting packages in the mail, and they were acceptance letters. I ended up applying to different colleges and universities across Florida, and I got accepted to all of them. And so now the moment to make a decision had come. And I had to tell my mother that I had gotten accepted into like 5 colleges. And she was not very supportive, I have to say, because we were, we were new to this country, and the thought of her baby going away to a 4-year college that was 4 hours away. By the way, I ended up taking Florida State University, in case you haven't figured it out. Go Noles. And that college is about 4 hours away, and my mom was just not having it because, she came from a different mentality, different country. She's a little, old world thinking, where she just didn't agree with, her daughters going off on her own and living by herself. And so that was hard for her to comprehend. But thankfully, I had good support system. So I had some guidance counselors like speaking to her. My sister started, speaking with her, and eventually my older sister, Veronica, said that I was going to go to college, and so she actually packed my bags and drove me off to college. My mom was not very happy with that, but eventually she came around. I think when she saw that I was studying and on my own and actually, handling myself, she realized that I had made a good decision, and that's when she started coming around to the idea of me being away to trying to get an education. So I ended up getting a bachelor's in international affairs political science, and then I stayed an extra year to finish a master's in public administration. So while I was doing graduate level work, I was also working full time. I got my first professional job at the Florida Department of Law Enforcement as an executive assistant in Tallahassee. And that opened doors for me because I then got promoted to HR coordinator for the Orlando region. And so I ended up leaving Tallahassee shortly after I graduated with my master's and relocated to Orlando. But when I was looking for jobs, I applied to the position in Orlando, but I also applied for this other position in Washington, D.C. So my master's is in public administration and international affairs. So me being the child of, public assistance, public housing, I knew early on that I wanted to work in government. And I knew that somehow I would end up in the Washington, D.C. area because I wanted to work for the federal government. So when I was in Tallahassee applying for jobs, I applied to 2 jobs, one in Orlando for FDLE and one at the Smithsonian here in D.C. And of course, I got the one in Orlando. And so I ended up moving because the, federal government process took so much longer then than it does now. And so 7 months after I had moved to Orlando, I got a call from the Smithsonian asking me if I was still interested. And I said, absolutely. Hopped on a plane. I had never been to DC before. And I came and they interviewed me and they gave me the offer on the spot. And I went back to Florida, put in my 2-week notice, and I packed my little car and moved to DC, not knowing anyone, not knowing my way around. And so when I was at the Smithsonian, I started off as a human resources specialist. So being alone in DC was scary at first, but also exciting. But then I quickly realized that cost of living is so much more expensive here. And so I started networking, going to networking events because of 2 reasons, honestly. One, is to meet people because I didn't know anyone here, and it was getting lonely. But then also because I was on a budget. And so I was starting, to go to networking events because I have to be honest, many of these events have food. So me being, fresh out of college, on a budget, I figured networking events, lots of free events here, that's the way to go. And the more I was out there, I was starting to meet people and get more involved in, across the community. And being in HR at work meant that I had access to the data, to workforce data, sorry. And I quickly realized that Hispanics were extremely underrepresented at the agency. And so I decided that I would utilize my new networking skills and networks to try to do something about this. And so I started just going to different events, trying to recruit people to come to the Smithsonian. I started going to recruitment fairs. I would, just set up a table somewhere. Every time I was out networking, I would always be promoting the agency. And I started having events where I would teach people how to actually apply for federal jobs, the benefits of it, how to navigate the online application process, so on and so forth. And then that actually started capturing the attention of some of my supervisors. So before I knew it, I became the agency's diversity recruiter. And then shortly after, I was asked whether I would lead the Latino Working Committee, which is an employee advocacy group for Hispanics at the Smithsonian. And LWC goes back since the 1990s, is because of some of the work that LWC did, that the Smithsonian ended up, creating the Latino Center that we know of today. And so a lot of that work came from within the Smithsonian because of Hispanics and Hispanic advocacy. So now I got to lead this organization that is responsible for advocating for greater awareness for employees, for promoting the participation of Latinos across the Smithsonian, Smithsonian Advisory Board's programs, research, collections, so on and so forth. And I was doing all this while I was doing my regular job. So this was not part of my regular job. This was just, like extracurricular activities, I guess. So then after a while, after about 5 years, I ended up leaving the Smithsonian and going to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was a brand new agency. So I went over there to help them get staffed up and get up and running. I provided expertise and leadership on recruitment, hiring, employee development, creating new policies and procedures. And after 3 years of working at a startup agency, I decided I was exhausted because I was on call 24/7. It's very fast paced. So I felt like I was just burning out and I wasn't being myself anymore. And so I decided to leave, and I went online and I found a job at NASA. Next slide, please. So when I first came to NASA, I was the lead workforce planning specialist and administrative officer for the Office of Chief Scientist. So that basically meant that I led the team that was responsible for HR, administrative work, onboarding of new staff and contractors and interns, and managed some of the budget for the office. I soon became the CFO University Program Manager. Under my leadership, the program grew from 3 instructors to 22 instructors, and from 7 classes to 12 classes. And then on day 1, actually it was my orientation day, this lady came and approached me and she said, hey, we're interested in creating an employee resource group for Latinos. We think you're awesome, so you should lead it. And I was hesitant because I was brand new to the agency. I didn't know anyone there. And so I said, not at this moment, but they, she stayed on me. And after a while, I gave in and I said, sure. So I became the new chair, or the first chair, of the Hispanic Outreach and Leadership Alliance Group, also known as OLA. So you can go to the next slide, please. So OLA is the first, or was the first, employee resource group established at NASA headquarters. And I knew from my work with LWC at the Smithsonian that leading an organization like this would take a lot of time and energy and passion. And so once I decided that I was ready to commit, I was excited, and I was very lucky that I got a lot of support from not just Latino community, but also from our NASA leadership. So we became the first employee resource group established at NASA headquarters, and our mission is to foster awareness and to promote the contributions of Hispanics at NASA, to create and facilitate collaborative cross-cultural opportunities, and to encourage the recruitment and professional development of highly diverse and skilled workforce. So we work with agency leaders on all different types of areas. We serve as key advisors to them. And I just included some pictures on there because I'm very proud of everything that we've accomplished in these last 5 years. And by the way, Deanna or Alice, if you guys could keep track for me, let me know when I have like 2 minutes left, that'd be great. So next slide, please. So my current position is that of Executive Officer for NASA's Office of the Chief Scientist. So the NASA Chief Scientist serves as the principal advisor to the NASA Administrator and to other NASA senior officials regarding NASA-wide science programs, policies, and strategy. My office is the office responsible for the scientific and research integrity of NASA. We represent and promote the agency's strategic science objectives and accomplishments to the national and international science community, including other federal government agencies, Congress, scientific organizations, industry, academia, and we get to share the science with the public. So what is my role? So as executive officer, I oversee different programs and projects. I serve as a key advisor to the chief scientist and the deputy chief scientist. And so I lead agency-wide national programs such as the NASA web modernization efforts, where we're working with all the NASA centers and about 60 individuals across all the centers and contractors as well, to revamp NASA's digital portfolio, take a look at thousands of our websites, and figure out what we need to do to consolidate, archive, and modernize our digital presence. I also conduct strategic planning for the OCS, and I help manage the organization's budget. And I also conduct science communication. So I'm part of the agency team that gets to share the cool science and discoveries with the world. Next slide, please. And one of those science programs that I'm super proud of is the NASA Citizen Science Program. So the Citizen Science Program is we have about 23 projects, and those projects are collaborations between scientists and interested members of the public. So the goal is to give the public opportunities to learn the process of science through firsthand experience. You get to conduct scientific research along with NASA scientists. And me, not being a scientist myself, I think this is really cool because this means that, you know, science is accessible to anyone now. And you get to conduct real research and discoveries. These collaborations have helped us, NASA, advance our scientific research and advance our scientific goals. We have 23 projects. We're getting ready to launch a few more later this year. We have over 100 scientists that participate and lead these projects. You know, our projects study from our planet's biodiversity to the sun, to comets, to finding exoplanets outside of our solar system. So yeah, we have about 1.5 million volunteers from around the world that help us conduct these different projects. And if you guys are interested, you know, I included the website on there, and you can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter and @DoNASA. And you too can help us, you know, make scientific discoveries. And who knows, perhaps one day your name will be next to one of our scientists, because we actually have volunteers or citizen scientists, as we call them, who have become co-authors and have been able to publish along with our scientists. Next slide, please. So I just shared my journey, a little bit about my background and a little bit about my career trajectory with you. So I did want to leave or pull out some key points for you to think about. And one of them is, and by the way, this is not me giving you advice. This is just what's worked for me. So I don't really think of myself as, a wise person or like someone who should be telling others what to do, but I'm just sharing my experiences and what's worked for me. The first item on here is prepare, right? So I say get your education. I truly wholeheartedly believe in the power of education. For me, it was my way out of poverty. I come from a migrant family. So my mom, even me, worked in the fields when I was young. And I feel like had it not been for my education, I don't know where I would be. So prepare, accordingly by getting a good, solid education. Opportunities. I would say be curious about the world around you and make the most out of every opportunity that comes your way. So if you were paying attention, you'll realize that I got to do a lot of different things because I stepped out of my comfort zone, right? So it wasn't part of my job description, but I went out and I started networking and building relationships and partnerships that led to the next thing. I was never afraid to say yes to the projects that other people didn't want to do. So that's the next item, take chances and practice continuous learning. I feel that you have to say yes to the assignments that other people don't want. You may have to put in extra hours, but that actually has helped me get to where I am in my career because it allowed me to, when I was taking these risks, it allowed me to just build my skill set. And, people saw me as being collaborative, flexible, adaptable. And then, like I said, everything I did, I just felt like it was just improving my skill set. And so every experience, every volunteer work I did, every new project I said yes to, I feel like it just added to my resume. Your circle, surround yourself with people who believe in you and those who inspire you. I would not be where I am today had it not been for other people believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. So just realizing or acknowledging who your circle is, it will help you a lot. And they can, because we have some blinders sometimes and we don't necessarily see what others see. But if you surround yourself by people you respect and people who respect you and believe in you, it'll take you so far. And then I said grounding. You need to find what brings you peace of mind and keep you sane. And that is Maria, talking to Maria, because I was just going nonstop. It was all about my career. I was so focused. And then I burnt out. And then I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm only 30 years old and I'm ready to retire. And so I started having to ask myself, like, what's important to me? What brings me peace? What keeps me sane? And I started investing more time and energy into those things. And also figure out what your values are. And those are some things that you're not willing to compromise. So for me, I've been lucky because I haven't really been chasing money. I've been chasing things that bring me joy. And that's the next item on here. In my career, I've always seen it that way. If I'm not happy with what I'm doing, I'm just not going to do good work. And so I always try to find the things and jobs that bring me joy. And I have gotten better at practicing self-care. I'm not always great at it, but I realize that I can't be my best when I'm running on, half cup or if I'm empty. So I realized that I need to figure out how I can take care of myself, practice self-care. and that brings me joy. And then at the end, if you're able to do all of those things that I just mentioned, you will find your purpose. That's what I did. I feel that I had to go through all of these experiences, but now I know myself better, and now I know my purpose is in life. And I also realized that your purpose can change from one season to another, and that's okay. So that's it for me. I was wondering if you guys have any questions. If not, best of luck with your session. This is wonderful. The fact that you are here today speaks highly of you, because you're definitely more motivated than I was when I was in high school. So kudos to you. Thank you.
If anyone has any questions, okay, so there's a question. What would you say was the most challenging part about being in college?
The most challenging part, well, I would say building a new community, right? So making new friends, because I only knew like one other person from my high school that went there. And so it was my first time being by myself. Remember, I came from a very protective family. So it was the first time being by myself, and new environment, and just learning to adapt. And now I had to start all over, right? Make new friends, establish those connections. The schoolwork wasn't that difficult for me, because I was committed. Once I got there, I was committed. I think a part of me wanted to prove people wrong, people that didn't think I could do it. And so I was just committed to my studies. So yeah, probably making new friends and building a new community for myself. Good question.
Yeah, so somebody asked, so how hard is work in college? How hard is the work in college? Well, I'll just answer that myself. It's really not that hard. I mean, if you're majoring in, something that you find enjoyable, and you see yourself, doing that long term, like taking most of like your major classes, and also like the regular classes that you're supposed to be taking. I don't know. I say it's pretty easy. I'm a psychology major, but that's because like I really love my my major, and I feel like everyone else that's, in a different major, has passion for their major. So even if, if you go to college and let's say you major in, I don't know, psychology, but then you say you don't like it, it's okay to change your major. It's okay to change your major, as many times as you can. But in order to find, your passion and your purpose, that's, the point of it. Okay, so what is something you would have done different?
I'm so sorry. If you don't mind, I do want to add to that. I see someone said, I work hard, but I'm not always the smartest. How hard is work in college? So I'm so glad you asked that question. Take the hard classes, because they're the ones that are really going to make a difference, honestly. I wish I had taken more math and more science. I work in the office of the chief scientist, but back then, the idea of math freaked me out. It was so hard for me. But then I realized that with the right instructor and with the right attitude, and as long as I study hard and keep going, I could have done it. I could have been a scientist or whatever. And you'll hear this from many scientists and even astronauts. They tell you that the hard classes still take them. But you also want to make sure that you enjoy it, right? So if you know that at the end you want to, be a writer and not necessarily a chemist, then maybe don't take level 4 chemistry. But if you are determined that you want to work in a specific area, don't get scared because of the classes. Do what you need to do. Study harder, get a tutor. If you fail a class, retake it. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, so someone said, looking back, what is something you would have done differently when applying to college?
When applying or when I was in college? Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think I would have done anything differently when I applied to college, because I got lucky that I applied to these colleges. Well, I got lucky that my counselor mailed my college applications on my behalf. Thank goodness for her, because I don't know what would have happened. But what would I have done differently in college? I think I would have taken my time a little more. I was so focused on getting my degree that sometimes I feel like I missed out. I wish I would have, studied abroad, done an internship. I never did that. Maybe learn a different language, taking different extracurricular activities. So probably, enjoyed my college years a little more, I think.
Okay, so if there is no more questions, I think we can go into our breakout rooms now.
Actually, wanted to say that, Maria, this is also applicable to me. So I'm going to say not just applicable to high school students or college students, even for women in career, in their careers in Washington, D.C. So thank you for reminding us about self-care and joy, because it is true. It is true. And I think that that the advice that you gave is wonderful, especially about study abroad internships. I hope that everyone takes advantage of that. So before we go into the breakout sessions, I wanted to know if Maria Santos had any closing statements before we go into the breakout sessions.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very humbled that you even thought of me to do this, and thank you, and thank you, and Diana, for doing this work, because it's very important. You are investing in these young, I was gonna say Latinas, but I don't know if we have any guys in here too, in these young individuals. And so that's no small feat. So kudos to you for all the work that you guys are doing here. And I look forward to, learning, hearing about your journeys, and maybe one day our paths will cross again. Not you, Ada, because I know you, but others. Maybe who knows, one day, you'll make it to NASA and you'll say, hey, I attended this one session with this one lady named Maria Santos, and she was cool. So here I am. So best of luck, everyone. Thank you.
All right, we're ready for the breakout rooms? Okay, so if you click participants all the way at the top, it will say show all breakout rooms. And we have business, computer science / STEM, early childhood education, poli-sci, and English and psychology. So, pick whichever breakout room you want to be in, and yeah.
I'm going to stay in the main room in case someone needs help navigating the breakout rooms. So Diana, go ahead. You can go to the psychology one. Okay.
Where do we find the breakout rooms?
Okay, so you are going to see them under participants. Do you see the participants option?
Yes.
So when you click on participants, there's something that says main meeting and then breakout sessions.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, anyone else needs help? Okay, Raquel, Catherine, Johnny, do you need help finding the breakout rooms? Okay, Johnny, are you able to find the breakout rooms?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, are you able to join the breakout rooms? Do you see them?
No, I don't see them.
Okay, so go to participants. Look for the options as participants, and right next to it is two options, main meeting or breakout sessions. And then you're gonna see business, computer science, and so on. And then you click join. Do you see it now?
Participants.
Yes.
No, I'm on the app.
Oh, the app. On the app, you should see it on the top.
All I see is layout.
So are you on
grid,
your phone?
focus.
Are you on your
No,
phone?
I'm on an iPad.
On the iPad. Okay, on the iPad, I don't know, but I have the app right now. So on the bottom, there is a bubble for the chat, right? So if you open the chat or you open the participants list. So if you open the participants
Okay.
list, there's,
I
you're
see
gonna
it.
see, yeah, you see the breakout sessions? Oh, good.